Rachel Zegler makes a sudden exit from the stage during Evita.
Rachel Zegler just had a night that may have changed everything. In the middle of a live Evita performance, she disappeared. And in her place, an understudy who didn't just step in, she took over the spotlight.
So in the end, it's really not about talent. It's about watching someone who thought they were above it all finally get humbled. And as far as Hollywood drama goes, this is the sort that not a lot of people can look away from.
Now Disney is reportedly scrambling behind the scenes, trying to contain the fallout as fans begin asking a serious question. Is Rachel still the right choice?
And then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way.
It all started on what should have been a completely normal night. The curtain rose, Act 1 wrapped. The audience stepped out expecting to return for the most iconic moment of the show, "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina." That's what they came for. That's what they paid for. But when it was time to come back, Rachel never did.
An eyewitness tells E! News that around 15 minutes into the interval, it was announced that her understudy, Bella Brown, would be stepping in to finish the show.
At first, people thought it was a delay. Then confusion set in. Finally, the announcement came. Bella Brown, the understudy, would take over for the rest of the show. No explanation, no warning, just a sudden switch.
Bella later said on her Instagram stories after the show, "Today really showed just how important swings and covers are within this industry. They are the pillars of a show. A proud day to be at Evita." Rachel is currently scheduled to return for the July 25th evening performance of the show.
And what happened next? Completely unexpected. When Bella stepped onto that balcony, the very moment Rachel was meant to own, the audience erupted. A full standing ovation. Loud, emotional, unforgettable. In that instant, the night no longer belonged to Rachel.
Yet paying customers are waiting to see her on stage, and she took off and headed to a balcony where she could belt out Evita's hit song, "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina," live, for free, to strangers on the street.
And Bella, she handled it perfectly. No drama, no digs, just gratitude for the cast and crew. Meanwhile, Rachel was already set to return the next night, as if nothing had happened.
Snow White, the film that bombed so hard that it only brought in $50 a screen over Mother's Day weekend, is now somehow the #1 streaming hit on Disney+. And before you ask, you're going to say, how did this happen?
But the internet doesn't forget that quickly. During the delay, reactions shifted fast. First it was, "Where is she?" Then it became, "Maybe we don't need her." And just like that, the narrative changed.
I say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed on.
The real climax of the night wasn't part of the script. It was that ovation. Because in live theater, there's nowhere to hide. And that night, one performer showed up and one didn't.
Headline after headline demonstrating the horrible reputation that she has made for herself because she just can't seem to keep her own thoughts in her brain.
What makes this even more surprising is where Rachel came from. She wasn't just another actress, she was the breakout star of West Side Story, chosen from thousands. A Golden Globe winner. She was supposed to be the future.
About the very first actress in history to become box office poison before she ever came box office. You know what I'm talking about.
But now that story is starting to shift. What once looked like a fairy tale rise is beginning to feel like a fall.
I'm a narcissist.
Look no further than Snow White, a massive project backed by one of the biggest studios in the world, yet surrounded by controversy before it even hits theaters. And the promotion, noticeably quiet, which is unusual for a film this big. But when your lead becomes unpredictable, silence becomes strategy.
And things are already shaping up to be a bit of a poop show? No, I don't like that.
And the promotion, noticeably quiet, which is unusual for a film this big. But when your lead becomes unpredictable, silence becomes strategy.
Terrible and a little bit hilarious. You know what I mean. What I have found to be exceptionally funny in the lead up to this film is how Disney has seemingly gone out of its way to stop its lead actress, Rachel Zegler, from talking to basically any media.
Live performance is simple. You show up or you don't. There's no edit button, no second take.
An iconic song, yes, but it's the balcony grabbing all the attention.
Meanwhile, Bella Brown became the unexpected hero of the night. She didn't try to steal attention. She just did the job and did it well.
Disney's Snow White said that harm should befall Trump and his voters. Do not see this film.
Behind the scenes, things appear to be tightening. Fewer appearances, more control, less room for mistakes.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Even major events have reportedly been scaled down. Quiet, controlled, carefully managed.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Okay.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
Because at this point, every moment matters, and every headline sticks.
People will assume it's a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows?
Critics and insiders have started speaking up, and the message is becoming clearer. This isn't just bad luck, it's becoming a problem.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
Then there's the Snow White backlash. Creative changes, casting debates, and strong reactions from fans all building pressure.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
The result? Delays, reshoots, and a growing sense that something isn't working.
And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
And fairly or not, Rachel has become the face of it all.
Anyway, we know that our girl Rachel likes to yap, so if she's going out of her way to basically escape talking to the media about the film that she's starring in, then I think we can reasonably assume that some things are going on behind the scenes.
Her public comments only added fuel, especially when it came to the original film.
That is not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Because audiences don't respond well when nostalgia is dismissed.
It was a wholesome family film, and now they've turned it into woke trash. Check this out for Men Wokeness. Disney's Snow White said that harm should befall Trump and his voters. Do not see this film.
Add in social media controversies, and the situation becomes even harder to manage.
This is purely because Rachel Zegler is just this awful. The truth is that Warner Brothers actually did this a few years ago with relation to The Flash because its lead actor, Ezra Miller, was caught up in some controversy too. Except that Miller's was like kidnapping and screaming at police.
At that point, the strategy shifts. Control the narrative, limit the risk.
Like, don't get me wrong, I know that there are some people, or probably many people, who've worked really hard on this movie, but I do love watching Disney collapse in on itself. Disney is living proof that you can try to ride one pendulum swing and then get smacked in the face when it changes direction.
But even that only works for so long.
About the very first actress in history to become box office poison before she ever came box office. You know what I'm talking about?
Because eventually, the story writes itself.
Anyway, back in late 2024, when Zegler tweeted about the Snow White trailer getting millions of views on YouTube, she followed up her post with another stating, "Free Palestine."
Fans notice everything, every interaction, every moment.
And Rachel Zegler, being 23 or whatever she is, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for Evita is the only global solution.
And what should have been a smooth press tour turns into constant scrutiny.
Rachel Zegler, who is the new Snow White, and she's talking about Snow White being woke.
Can you tell us a little bit about your version of Snow White?
Yeah, I mean, Snow White is the girl you remember, but she's definitely made for the modern age, and there's such an emphasis on what it really means to be the fairest of them all. And
behind closed doors, the situation is reportedly difficult.
In this case, for example, maybe Snow White is just too far away from this generation and can't cross those generational lines. I guess it goes to show that maybe rather than endlessly doing remakes, Disney should invest its money in creating something new.
And online, the conversation is louder than ever. Calls for change, new casting ideas, endless debate.
The company had seemingly decided to trade out the little men for 7 magical creatures, who viewers got to see in some very early leaked photos. Hilariously, this just pissed fans off further, and even pissed off dwarf actors and actresses.
Now the studio faces a tough decision: move forward as planned or rethink everything.